My name is Marshall. My name is Marshall. I'm a person in long-term recovery. Man, I'm glad. I'm glad to be here. I'm telling you, I'm kind of amazed, man. Damn, this group done swole up, man. Got a lot of people here. And my hope is, those that are here, what's up? What's up? Grab one thing to take back with you. I ain't asked you to grab a whole paragraph, just grab one thing. You know, we here, that's the reason we here, to plant seeds on a regular basis, you know? Because I understand a lot of y'all would look at this thing and say, man, I don't really need this. Yeah, this ain't for me. If I can give anybody a hint, if I can give anybody a nugget, man, don't get caught in Virginia. Don't get caught in Virginia. You know? Yeah. I'm just reading some of this stuff, man, some of the laws that's going into effect July 1. Y'all up on that? Y'all been reading that? They allow y'all to read that? Huh? Oh, no, y'all can't read that. Yeah. Yo, yeah. Huh? Well, let me just say this. I think it's getting a little better. It's getting a little better. It's getting a little better. But don't look for no sympathy. Oh no, that ain't happening. You know what I mean? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, don't look for no sympathy, you know. My name is Marshall. I'm a person in long-term recovery. Let's get started. First and foremost, when we get started, we want a little respect. Girlfriend, little respect. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. My wish, my hope, man, is that majority of y'all, I could give this thing to you. I could give it to you. But it ain't possible. You know, my thinking is, man, we gonna have to work, man. You're gonna have to work to get something. You know what I mean? The reality of it is, you're gonna have to work to get something internally. I can't give it to you. You know, I was reading something the other day, man, and it was about the inmates being incarcerated to getting ready to get released. And a whole lot of them feel like, man, I don't need this. I don't need a program. I don't need anything. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it on my own. You know? One thing I would say is, make an effort to try to know yourself while you're here. Make an effort to try to know yourself. I hear everybody laughing and joking, and it is fun and games. I ain't want you to come in here and act like you're going to a funeral, but do give yourself a minute, an hour to think about, man, what's going on, to think about your life. You know, give yourself an hour to think about that. You know, otherwise you're going to continue to put yourself in the hands of somebody else. Man, I got a dude here, man. I got a dude here, man. Me and him met over 5 years ago. And what I see from him is so typical, man. The door is still open, man. The door is open. I can go around here and ask, more than half of y'all, are you coming back? And I know what the answer I'm going to get. Yeah. You one of the few. You know what I'm saying? You one of the few. I know what it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? And man, if you don't change something, you coming back, man. You coming back. You know? In this world today, you got to be able to advocate for yourself. You got to be able to advocate for yourself. Ain't nobody else gonna do it. I'm reading today, and they getting ready to implement the parole program again. July the 1st, 2024, implement the parole program again. Why? Because they got some old heads that been here for a long time, and that's the only way they're gonna get out. Men and women, they got some old heads. Man, I got a couple of people that's gonna come here during this summer. Been locked up 33 years, 25 years, 24 years, you know, and some of us act like this thing is a joke, you know? And man, this thing right here, man, would change your life in the worst way. In the worst way. Again, I wish I could give y'all this stuff, man. But can't do it, man. That has never worked, man. Didn't work for me, didn't work for John, didn't work for Greg. We had to come in that man and we had to work, man. You know? In my traveling this weekend, and what it talked about us as individuals, when I talk about knowing yourself, right? All of us, including me, John, Greg, and everybody else, we got blind spots. Blind spots that we don't know about ourselves. That's what I mean about making an effort to try to find out who you are. You know? I mean, back in the day, we learned how to do things, man. We learned how to put a mask on and act like somebody else. Learn how to walk. We learn how to talk. We learn how to do the dope fiend look. We learn this shit. You know what I'm saying? But there's the other side to that. We can learn some positive shit. You know? We can learn some positive about ourselves. You know what I'm saying? For me, man, when I looked at this thing, I don't like being locked up. I did a bit. And I don't like it. Because it's real deep with me. Let me just say this. Man, this is the closest thing to slavery. Closest thing to slavery that I can imagine. All I know about slavery is what I read in a book until I ended up at Spring Street. And that shit became reality. Same thing for some of y'all. Some of y'all reality, if y'all keep doing what y'all doing, it's going to change. And I said, man, why we here? We here to plant some seeds, man. We here to drop some nuggets, you know. We here to try to give you a start, man. You know what I mean? So you might not want it now. I believe in second chances. You might be like my boy. You might want it 5 years from now. But those are the choices you got. You know what I'm saying? Those are the choices you got. I said something to John earlier about me and my family. I can remember being in jail, not knowing, man, how I was going to survive, you know? Then, 6 years later, getting out, my daughter, my family, had another child when I got out, and I look today, and I look at what I started. And boy, I told John, look at what he started. John started this McShin thing in 2004. In 2004, he started this, man. And we still rolling. Come on up here, John. John rescued me from jail. Yeah, he did. Love you, man. I ain't going back, dude.
That's right.
That's right.
Friendships like this, why you want to do anything else? You know, I was at a pool party this week, and we had a McShin alumni pool party. Anybody could come to it. I bet there was 5 of the Rise guys there. Remember me? Yeah, like it was yesterday. But the cool thing was they out there, everything we said, all the, not only the nuggets, but the pictures we try to paint, they're real and they're out there. Some of you know what I'm talking about. And like Marshall, I don't like getting locked up. I don't want to live like this. And if all I got to do is not use drugs and hang around old timers, that works for me. I was 23 years old. I've been arrested 12 times, 4 times in foreign countries, and I found myself in a treatment center while I was in the Marine Corps. And no, it wasn't easy. It was difficult. But I felt like I had to give it a really good shot. I got to try really hard one time just to see what are these people talking about. And it was a difficult climb. The first few years, they weren't that easy. They were hard. But I didn't give up. And somewhere along the way, I crossed that magic line when the high I was getting from being in recovery was greater than the high I ever got from any drugs I took. And that's a good spot. That's where you want to be. Y'all are fortunate to be in this situation, be away from the chaos and the drama out there. You come up in here, you retitrate your brain. I know it ain't the best situation out there in here, but it's the best we can do. It's the best the sheriff can do. And the truth is, it's better than most incarcerated people are getting nationwide. So, and it works because I'm seeing you on the outside. I'm seeing you doing good. I can't go anywhere in our community and not run into somebody. So this stuff does work. We got a great speaker lined up. Greg going to introduce the speaker. I'm really excited to listen to her, and I'm sure you will too. So, Greg, come on up and tell us what we got in the store. And thank you very much for being good tonight too. You guys are like, what, y'all talk to y'all or something, man? Y'all are good.
Hi, everybody. I'm Greg. I'm still an alcoholic and an addict. Glad to be here tonight. I was thinking about earlier, I was talking to somebody earlier in the week, that sometimes I get so caught up in the struggle of life and living life on life's terms that I forget the blessing. The blessing is that I was able to drive down here tonight in a car that has gas in it and not think about getting a drink or a drug today. That's because I lived the program of Alcoholics Anonymous in any type of recovery I can get 24 hours. That's today. I do whatever it takes to stay sober and stay clean today. And that's a blessing. I was telling somebody early in the week, of course, we all got the barbed wire tattoo. You know, we've been to prison, we've been to jail. I've got a chest plate that says 25 to life. Because I thought that I was destined to spend the rest of my life in the penitentiary or I was going to die, because that's what my mother told me. You know, you believe what your mother tells you. I honestly believe that, because the lifestyle I was living was not conducive to a positive outcome. I was either going to die or I was going to spend the rest of my life in prison. But I was introduced to the program. It took me 4 times. In and out, in and out. One time I had 19 years without drinking, sober. But I wasn't working the program. I wasn't being honest. And I wasn't telling on myself. And I wasn't letting the past go. I became a slave to my past. The past was all the trauma, all the stuff that I had been through. Growing up in an abusive alcoholic family, a father where you couldn't show emotion. Well, no cheerleading going on in my house. Oh, you're going to turn out to be a great person. You're going to do this and you're going to do that. What I knew was going to happen was I was going to get beat if I showed any type of emotion, any type of feeling. And that was traumatizing. I mean, I still think about that stuff. The difference is today, with my past and all that stuff that happened, I deal with it. I talk about it. And I don't have to drink, and I don't have to pick up a drug today to numb myself because I don't want to remember it. People say, don't regret the past and all that. I do regret the past. I did some terrible things, and I ended up in places like this. I ended up in other penitentiaries. And I was nowhere on my way to no place until I finally surrendered to the fact that I could not drink safely, and I drank against my will. How many people in here have looked in the mirror after a night or a week of binge of drinking and doing drugs and say, I ain't going to drink today? How many people? Raise your hand. So I'm not going to drink today. Half an hour later, I'm down there fixing me a drink. I just want to take the edge off. I just want to feel better. Last time I finally surrendered to the fact that I can't drink anymore. I got a sponsor who told me, he said, why don't we work on you just being a better person one day at a time? Why don't we work on getting honest, 100% honest? Why don't you start telling on yourself, and why don't you learn how to ask for help? Man, ask for help. Are you crazy? If you ask for help, you're showing a sign of weakness. But if I don't do those things today, I am not going to stay in recovery. I have to do those things 24 hours today, and I have a chance to stay sober and clean. I'm so thankful to be here tonight. I asked Theresa a couple of weeks ago if she would come down and share her story. Theresa and I met 5 years ago in a home group, Pontchartrain out there near Short Pump at Christ Church on a Thursday night meeting. And she's somebody that has grabbed a hold of this program. Hasn't been easy. It's not easy for any of us. But she's grasped this program. She is a good person. She works hard in recovery. And when I asked her to come down and share her story, she didn't hesitate to say yes. Because when the program asks us to do anything, we're there. And also, it's very convenient. Theresa lives right across the street from me. We didn't realize that till later on. But I'm going to bring Theresa up and let her share her experience, strength, and hope. Let's give a warm welcome for Theresa. Good.
Hey, y'all. Theresa, alcoholic. Can y'all hear me okay? I don't usually speak with a microphone, so if I'm yelling or if I'm not talking loud enough, let me know. My sobriety date is July 4th, 2019. That is coming up on 5 years. Thank you. Greg was one of the first persons that I met when I came into recovery. Pontchartrain was one of the first meetings that I went to. My experience, strength, and hope. As long as I stay on those topics, I can't go wrong here. So, July 3rd, 2019, I was at home alone, drinking, preparing for one of my friends to come in town the next day. And I had a good buzz going. I stopped, I looked at my drink, and I said, what the fuck are you doing with your life? And I just started dumping all of my alcohol down the drain. I turned on the disposal, and I found every bottle, every can, every bit of alcohol that I had, and just started dumping it. And I went to a meeting a few days later. I picked up a white chip, and that is the only white chip I've picked up thus far. People like to use the term white chip wonder. I do not consider myself a wonder of this program or of life. I just worked the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have followed suggestions that were given to me, and I apply it. I have a lot of yets, and so I can easily be out there tomorrow doing what I was doing prior to sobriety. So I appreciate y'all having me come out and giving me the opportunity to share my experience with you. I was raised in a religious household. I had a great upbringing. I'm one of 7 children, number 6 in line. So I had to work a little bit harder to be heard, maybe. But I'm the baby girl. I have 3 brothers, so I know what it's like to deal with guys. So yeah, I was an avid soccer player. I was a swimmer. I had strong friendships. I fit in, so nothing was off. I didn't feel out of place. And I went to a private school, K through 8, and when I finished, I had the opportunity to go to a private school or a public school. And I really wanted to go to a public school. Whatever I thought at the age of 14 that I was missing out on up until that point, I don't know. But I really, really thought that I was missing out on life. And I got into high school, and I had arrived. I found my friends. I found alcohol. Shortly thereafter, I started smoking marijuana. And, you know, I was able to stay engaged with sports and my friendships. I soon realized, though, that, you know, we'd go to parties, and my friends and I would share a 12-pack between 4 of us. That's 3 beers each. And very soon I was like, I need more. So I was having people get me alcohol and other people get me alcohol because I didn't want everybody to know how much alcohol I was consuming. And I very soon started to hang out with the guys because they were able to keep up with me and my girlfriends couldn't. And I felt bad for my girlfriends, which is sad. I felt bad that they were never going to experience the fun that I was experiencing. And, you know, got through high school. I didn't get in a ton of trouble. I got caught a few times by my parents and grounded, but I didn't get in trouble with the law. And, you know, my senior year, and people are taking their PSATs, and I elected to not do that. I was going to be on the community college road where I can go for 2 years, maintain a C average, and then go to college from there, because I was more concerned about drinking. I wanted to party. I did not want to study. So graduate college, did community college, and I was back and forth, in and out. Then I started bartending. And I found other substances outside of alcohol. You know, I was heavy into ecstasy, cocaine, and I was talking to someone about this prior to getting up here, but I was able to take or leave the drugs. I was called out on my drug use, my weight loss, things of that nature, and I admitted to it, and I was able to walk away. The fact of the matter was I was using drugs when I was drinking. And if somebody brought up my drinking as a problem, you were crazy and you were the problem. It was not my alcohol use. I could not walk away from alcohol. I got my first DUI and possession of marijuana charge when I was 19 years old. Possession of marijuana may not seem like a big deal. At that time, it was a very big deal. So did my court-ordered ASAP, my AA, and that seed was there, and I completely forgot about it until I turned 40 years old. That's my first DUI. And then I continued to abuse alcohol and drugs. I get a second DUI within 3 years. So I had to go to jail for that one. And by the grace of God, not by my own accord, I didn't get another DUI for 18 years. And that's when I got sober. By the grace of God, I didn't hurt or kill myself or somebody else. By the grace of God, I found the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Decided to go back to school, got my degree. I thought because I was able to finish school, maintain a 4.0 GPA, I was not an alcoholic. I didn't have a problem with alcohol because alcoholics weren't able to get a degree, go to school, maintain a job full-time and part-time. So I was doing all these things and, just deny. I got married when I was 27 years old. I was a shitty wife, shitty partner. There's a lot of, blame that I place on my ex-spouse and on my marriage. And through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm actually going through a process very similar to what our 9th step is in making an amends, and our 5th step is in accepting, our responsibility. So I'm doing that now on, the church side, and taking care of that and taking accountability for my actions in my marriage, or my former marriage. I'm just running the tape because there's just so much. My bottom I have a high bottom, people would call it, but it was low enough for me, and everybody's bottom is different. You can get off when you want. You don't have to hit the bottom floor. So 2016, huge part of my life. My nephew, who was 17 at the time, took his own life. He made me an aunt. And he was a very special boy in my life. I don't have children of my own, and I have 16 nieces and nephews. That's what one of 7 children will do to you when you have 6 siblings. And I'm very blessed. But that child meant so much to me, and none of us knew that he was suffering. He never once shared that he was suffering. And October 1st, 2016, for the last 3 years of my drinking, up until I got sober, July 3rd was my last drink. I drank to a blackout every single night because I could not bear the thought of going through life without that child anymore. And I didn't want to die, but I also didn't want to live. And, they put his time of death around 1:30 in the morning, and I got this sick obsession that I wasn't able to go to bed before 1:30 in the morning. I had to stay up till 1:30 in the morning. And I wasn't able to show up for my family. I took his death personally, that it had happened to me. He didn't do that to me. He didn't do that to our family, his friends. But I took it personally. And I would cry at every family event thereafter. My sister got pregnant and I cried and I made it about me. I made his funeral and his wake about me. I made every fundraising event for suicide awareness after that about me. It was all about me. And my poor brother and sister-in-law had lost their child. And today I've had the opportunity to show up for them and my family, and be an active member of my family, for his younger brother, who was 9 at the time and who is now 19. Sorry, he was 11 at the time. He's now 19. So the last 3 years of my drinking, I crossed the line long before that. I was chasing a high and a drunk that I could never get back. I cannot even explain it to you as to, like, taking that first drink and being like, tonight will be different. Tonight I'm going to remember. Tonight I'm going to be high class and I'm going to have martinis and wine, and waking up the next day and being like, what the fuck happened? Blackout. I just crossed the line with no memory or recollection of what had happened. There was a sense of impending doom that came into my life. It was like every commercial that I saw on the television was that one for like, I don't know, something with a P down in Florida. I forget the name of it, but it was like every commercial. And I'm like, what are they trying to say to me? Just this sense of impending doom. April of 2019, I met an individual who was in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we started dating. I lived a double life. I did not drink around him. I didn't drink around him because one wouldn't be enough. I wanted to get hammered, and I knew that that was not appropriate, so I just wouldn't drink at all until he wasn't around. And that went on for months, and then finally my sister asked me, she said, what are you going to do? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, he's sober. You're drunk all the time. How is this going to work? And I'm like, what do you mean? Of course it's going to work. So I actually put some thought into it, and that sense of impending doom just continued. And I was like, maybe this is it. This is where it ends. So that's when I decided to stop drinking, and I started pouring all the alcohol down the drain. So I came into the program of Alcoholics Anonymous because of a relationship. But I can tell you that is not why I stay in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. So at 18 months sober, my ex went back out and he died. He was found dead in a hotel room from an overdose. That rocked my world. That was another traumatic loss in my life. But the difference was, in 2020, is that I didn't have to drink. I didn't even want to drink. The thought of a drink didn't even cross my mind. When I was about 3 months sober, that compulsion had been lifted from me. Thank God. But I was able to show up for his family, for his 10-year-old daughter, for his older son, for his sister, his parents, his brother. I was able to show up for all those individuals despite shit that happened in my relationship with him. I was able to put all that aside and show up for people that loved him when I had a hard time finding love in my heart for him. When I came into the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I had to completely surrender. And honestly, at that time, I didn't even know what that meant. People were just like, surrender, surrender, surrender. And I hated it because I was just like imagining waving this white flag and I had failed and like I had given up and I didn't want to be a failure. Through working the program and working the steps, living the steps, the definition of surrender is completely different to me today. Surrendering is me not having to do everything. I am not in control. I can get out of the driver's seat, and it feels really fucking good to not have to worry all the time about life. You know, Greg mentioned one day at a time and living life on life's terms. And sometimes that's hard because just because we're sober and we've come in, you know, to this new life, we are not immune from hardship and failure, fear. I mean, life shows up, but today I have the ability to deal with it in a healthy way. Today I live my life the way as I imagine God would want me to live. And somebody, I've heard people question it before. Well, what does that mean? How does God want me to live? Or you can use higher power. My higher power is God. But just being a good person. I wake up on a daily basis and I pray, please let me be kind, loving, and patient. Fairly simple. When out drinking, I had consequences for actions that I took. And the people in my life that affected, I have the ability to look back now because I didn't think that my alcohol use affected anybody. I didn't think I was harming anybody but myself. And I lived alone, and who really cared? Like, it just didn't matter. And my poor parents. My parents that stayed up endless nights because they thought that they were going to get a knock on their door or a phone call that I was dead because I was behind the wheel, drinking and driving. Compromising situations that I put myself in. And my father coming to me crying, saying that he should have protected me. Sobriety has given me the ability to realize that I am not a victim. I'm not a victim of life, and I'm not a victim of circumstances. Life happens. It doesn't excuse actions of other people, but it takes me being the victim out of it. And it allows me to be accountable for actions that I took that were wrong. I don't know what you all were doing on Sunday, but I was out floating on the James River. And it was beautiful. And I did it sober. Sorry, not sorry. I get to do these things in sobriety. And it's wonderful. And things, that I do today and over the last 5 years, I get out of this program what I put into it. 18 months, my program was this big. Guess I offended someone. My program was very small because I didn't interact. And when I lost my ex due to an overdose, I really engaged in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I got involved in the fellowship and did cookouts and river floats and dinners and bonfires, and it's all done without drugs or alcohol. I have some of the best relationships and friendships at 40 years than I've ever had prior to that. I try to live one day at a time. I don't always do the best job, but I try. I am very grateful and blessed for the program, for what it gives me today. I don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. I don't know what it holds, but I'm pretty freaking positive about it. I can take today and apply it. The life that I have today is a gift and a blessing. It is not a burden. And I think that's all I have for you tonight. I don't know how much time I ran out on that. Thank you. I appreciate y'all letting me be here. Thank you.
You did fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're only 40? Damn. Life is good. Hey, about, I don't know, 15 years ago, a bunch of us in NA, we went to Indianapolis for our sponsorship gathering because we're very involved in recovery. And I met this kid there, and we stayed in touch ever since. And he come to Richmond a few times. But anyway, great recovery guy. We got a few minutes. He's in town on business. I told him, get in the truck. We're going down the road. Here we are in jail. So, Dave, come on up and say a few words, man. Give Dave a round of applause.
Hey,
Yeah, about 5 minutes. Okay. Hey, y'all, how you doing? I get real nervous getting in front of people, so just give me a little grace there if I'm a little shaky, but great job. Yeah. My name's Dave. I identify as an addict, and my recovery date is July 26, 2009. So, yeah. I appreciate that. You know, yeah, I met John. It would have been 15 years ago this last November, but it was in Tampa. I'll never forget. I had 104 days of recovery the day that I met John. I just remember that. It's fried into my mind because I met John, and I met another guy, I forget his name, but he had about like 35 years. And the thing that happened both with John and the gentleman that had 35 years, when they could tell I was nervous, just like I am now, but it was for a little bit different reason. I was nervous being in the presence of guys with like 27 and 35 years of recovery. And separately, it was 2 separate conversations. They both asked me, he said, you know, how long you been sober or whatever. And I said 104 days. And for whatever reason, that's fried in my brain. But, you know, up to that point, prior to that day I met John, prior to that 104 days, getting there was a long journey. You know, I think like somebody said here today, it wasn't easy. I have been in jail. Quite a bit. You know, you can recover a lot in 15 years, but I was sitting here thinking when I was sitting there, I was in a meeting much like this as an inmate in Hendricks County, Indiana, and they brought a meeting in. And I remember feeling, it's a word we call ambivalent. For anybody who doesn't know what that means, I didn't know what it meant when I was in jail. It's like back and forth, right? I'm back and forth. I don't know. Maybe I want it today. Maybe I don't. And I remember being very ambivalent in that jail. But, and I'm sorry if I'm bouncing around. I'm trying to connect the dots here. I was a little surprised when somebody asked how many people in here could relate. I think it was Theresa to like, maybe it was Greg, to essentially like what Greg was talking about, using against our will. I want to ask again one more time, like how many people in here have used when they really didn't want to? Like a big part of them didn't want to. Okay. So a lot, my man, yeah. We would have gotten in trouble together. Yeah. So I remember feeling like that in jail when I was in that meeting. I was like, man, I think I want to get out and use. I think I want to get out and stay sober. And man, I can tell you what I got out most definitely did not stay sober. It was a tough 3 years. You know, I experienced some near fatal overdoses in that time. But man, eventually I just got tired of looking in that mirror and saying, you know, to myself, I'm not going to use today. I'm not going to use tomorrow. And I would still use. And eventually, you know, that pain just got enough that I became willing to do whatever I wanted to do. And, you know, I'm going to wrap up here and say just a couple more things, man. You know, when I got into recovery, I really got tired of hearing people say, that if they thought their life was going to be like this, so if you told me my life was going to be like this, I wouldn't have believed you, right? I really wouldn't have believed you. But my life has just become so good. And when I think back on like how it used to be, it's just, I'm so much more at peace now, guys. I don't have to look over my shoulder. You know, I know I look whatever, clean cut, collar right now. I was involved in a lifestyle that a lot of you can relate to. And, you know, just the lifestyle that I have now, I wouldn't have believed it. And all of that to be said, I'm not up here bragging. I just want to give anybody some hope that if y'all would have seen me back then, man, I was a peer of yours, right? And if you would know the life that I have now, and just to tell you that I believe you all can have that. I really do. And if anybody, you know, feels like they can relate to anything that Morris or John or Greg or Theresa, any of us said, I promise you, you guys, you too can get it. I know that these people behind me up here work so hard in Virginia to have resources available for people that weren't available for me when I was in jail last time. So hypothetically, it'd be easier for y'all than it would be for me. And with that, I just really want to wish y'all the best of luck. But that being said, like somebody else said, it's not about luck, it's about hard work. You guys getting some stuff, putting your life together when you get out of here, it wouldn't be about luck, it'd be about hard work, putting one foot before the other. But like I said, if I can do it, I know you guys can, and wish you guys all the best. Thanks.
I said earlier, you know, before Theresa came up and spoke, you know, I said you don't have to grab an entire paragraph. Just grab a little phrase. Just grab one thing that you can carry with you. And what I heard Theresa say was, think about it. Think about it. Look at your life, and think about it. You know, is this it for me, or can I do better? You know, I heard the guy right here say he can't do no better. I tip my hat to him. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be a lifer. Cause I know that's available. When I went to the penitentiary, I was shocked when I saw people that been in there for 40 years. For 40 years. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's available, you know, but for those that want something different, that's available as well. You know what I'm saying? My thing is, you know, when you make them choices, don't show up crying. You know what I'm saying? That used to kill me, man. I'm at Pamarket. I'm at Pamarket. The girl come back with a life sentence. She handling it. The dude come back with 90 days. He crying. 90 days, he crying. You know what I'm saying? Man, you know. But man, I said earlier, man, just dropping some nuggets. Just dropping some nuggets. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know how creative we are when we trying to do something, man. When we trying to use or whatever it is we trying to do, we got a creative mind, you know, and you can use that same creative mind when you out here trying to do a better life. When you trying to live a better life, you use that same creativity. It works. It works. That's what works for me. You know what I mean? I heard this a long time ago. If you're in a relationship and the relationship becomes boring, you need to take a look at yourself. It ain't always the other person. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's you. I keep that with me. Me and my wife. I met my wife in high school. Man, both of us 72 years old, man. You know what I'm saying? Man, both of us 72 years. That's a shout out. And that requires work. You know what I'm saying? That requires work. I mean, we tell each other a joke every day. Somebody got to laugh in the house. You know what I'm saying? Ain't coming home, man, living a boring life. That ain't what it's all about. And I think that's in all of us. You know what I'm saying? It just has to be pulled out, you know? Now, we got to get out here by 6:30, but I appreciate all of y'all for being here. You know what I mean? And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye. Hey, I want y'all to understand the guy Steve, man, that's make this possible with the video and all that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, when Steve first got here, he couldn't put one foot in front of the other. You know what I'm saying?
I got a joke for you. Oh, y'all gonna like this. I was just talking to Dave, and Dave said, "Damn, I was so nervous." I said, "What the fuck you nervous for? You getting ready to walk out of here, man." Y'all good.